Why is renting in the UK so bad? With the cost of living crisis, people's rent has skyrocketed. Now people are having to face bidding wars just to find a place to live. Before, if you had the finances, you had the references, you could secure a place to live, and it wasn't that much of a headache. Now it's ridiculous. People are having to compete with other people, not just for finances, but based on their personality. The landlords can afford to be extremely picky, and the vetting process is extremely complicated and unfair. It's not transparent. So the landlord can reject you for no reason. They don't have to give you a reason. Maybe they're just having a bad day and they don't like the look of you and they can just reject you. So this has led to a lot of people in the UK feeling extremely frustrated just to find a place to live. And it's absolutely ridiculous because the landlords, they know they can take their sweet time to choose a person because they know that there's such a high demand. People are desperate. So landlords, estate agents can take advantage of people. People are expected to sign extremely long leases, and it's really ridiculous. You have so many people competing for the same place to live. And yes, in major cities, there are a lot of people and you would expect prices to be high, but the amount that landlords are charging is ridiculous. So it can be dehumanizing and humiliating as well. So you're having to show so much effort, and it's like you're going for a job interview to become the prime minister or a CEO, and it shouldn't be like that. Now, even when someone has secured a place, they still have constant stress that the price is going to increase even more, especially with the budget and stamp duty being increased. These landlords that own multiple properties may seek to increase the rent, and there's nothing stopping them from doing this. So if you just moved into a place and you haven't read the small print carefully, you could be in for a surprise. And with that increase in rent, you may not afford to live there, and so you have to go back into the market and having to compete with other people all over again. So the stress feels never ending. With the demand so high, landlords can afford to rent out properties that are subpar. They have mold, they have black mold, there'll be problems with the water, with the boiler, maybe poor circulation, and extra coldness is coming inside, so you have to spend more on heating. And when you complain about these things, the landlord won't listen because they don't want to spend money. They've invested in this property, they're making a handsome profit, they can use this on other luxuries. So they are under no obligation to sort these problems out. And if you are forceful with it, they could evict you, they could increase the rent. So people are in a lose-lose situation, and it's incredibly sad to see. People can feel exploited and feel incredibly frustrated. You would expect that you are paying for a service, you should receive that service. You're not asking to be in a 5-star hotel, but you need the basic necessities because it's something that you are paying for and you're not receiving these things. And if these things are affecting your health, for example, a lot of people are having to fork out buying a dehumidifier, which can run into the hundreds of pounds, just to deal and combat the problem of dampness. And this can be because landlords don't want to fix the problem. And in some cases, it can be 10 or 20 liters of water that can be accumulated. And once you see this, it's a real shock. And even if you report this, the landlords don't care because again, there's no one forcing them to make sure that their properties they're renting out are to a livable standard. A lot of people are feeling the financial strain. They are unable to afford the high rent. And so they feel that like they are being taken advantage of. And this leads to a lot of people moving back home with their parents, even if they are in that situation, because they may not be in that situation to be lucky enough to move back in with their parents. Now, this, of course, can lead to a lot of frustration as well, because you're an adult, you're used to having your independence, and moving back home is a step backwards. So it's not a good thing for your mental health. So yes, on one hand, you can be saving money in rent, but you, as a human being in society, it's not a good thing because it's not good for your self-esteem. Now, some people may not be in that position. So this can force people into homelessness, can force people into couch surfing, living in their car, trying to move from one friend's couch to another. And it can lead to a lot of instability and anxiety. And this is no way to live in a developed country. When it's very difficult for you to secure a place, and once you do secure a place, you have that constant cloud over your head with a constant worry, thinking about this lease can end at any time. Even if you sign a long lease, there's no guarantee that you will have that security, that you will have that peace of mind, that you will be there for a long time, so you can regroup, you can think about your finances. And with everything so expensive, your finances are just going towards the essentials. When more than half of your salary, your monthly salary, is going towards your rent, it doesn't leave much disposable income for self-improvement, planning for the future. So people are constantly on the treadmill waiting for something to change. And on that note, when you are unable to save any money, how can you plan for the future? How can you have any aspirations to be a homeowner yourself and to think about having some security and having some stability? So renting is in a critical situation in the UK. There's a crisis. This is a huge problem, because even when you can afford the increase in price, now I don't think it's being able to afford, I think it's just out of necessity. When you're having to spend so much money on your rent, this means you have to calculate every single penny, every single move. You have to calculate for your transport with your bus fares. In some places, the bus fares have increased from £2 to £3. The minimum wage has slightly increased, yes, but this isn't enough to offset the expenses that you have. So this means that you will have to cut back on food, how much you're eating, which is extremely sad. And so you may go for the cheaper options, which is cheaper junk food, which doesn't help you, which causes more health problems. If we look at the actual numbers, in Greater London, the average price for renting a one-bed flat is over £2,000. It's £2,101. Outside of Greater London and in the UK, this is £1,113, but your salary would be less. And so the prices that you're having to pay is absolutely ridiculous. And on top of that, you're having to compete with other people. So you may have to spend a couple of £100, even higher, more than this. So how does this impact your life? What experiences have you had of renting? Please share them in the comments. Let me know if you've had to compete in a bidding war. How did you find the renting process? What is the quality of your place that you are renting? What has been the quality of places that you have rented in the past?